welcome everyone into another edition of the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider with head coach Ric Wesley. I'm Jeremy Bolker, alongside play-by-play voice DJ Foster, and we got an exciting 1 hour of Laker basketball talk ahead for you. We have Drake Barr, who has been coming on as of late and really had some nice games here the last few games. We're going to get to visit with him, a local native here of Comstock Park, the junior center for your Lakers. So he's going to join us in a couple of segments. But Grand Valley overall now 5-4. Some incredible games, folks, this past Thursday and this past Saturday, and some climactic finishes on those, DJ. And you got to be a real big part of those as well. And you still have your voice. A little bit.
I didn't play a big part. I was just kind of sitting there watching and talking about it. But, yeah, two wild endings. Luke Reiskamp wins the game Thursday night with a late three. We nearly went to overtime that game. We'll talk to Coach about that. And then, unfortunately, the snake got us on the other side as they hit a game-winning three. Ohio Dominican did on Saturday. But two great games down to the finish. Folks,
we're going to try to get you out of a little bit of the Laker depression because Saturday was a rough day. Saturday was a rough day all around for everybody. I imagine it's been tough there on Monday, but we'll get you out of it. We got plenty of great things to look forward to, not only tonight but the upcoming season. So we'll be back with more and bring in head coach Ric Wesley right after this. Again, this is the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider, all brought to you by Rivertown Honda. Got to get it at Rivertown Honda. Back with more here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.
We were born here. We grew up here. Raised our kids here. Went to school here. We live here. We are the home team.
And welcome back in the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider. Play-by-play voice DJ Foster here with you. Jeremy Bolker, head coach Ric Wesley. We're at Jets Pizza in Allendale, just a mile west of Grand Valley State's campus. We're talking Laker basketball this hour as Grand Valley State 5-4 on the year, split a pair of GLIAC home games last weekend, two thrilling games right down to the last seconds. You got your money's worth if you came out for those. Grand Valley State split with a win over Findlay on Thursday night, 61-58, and then fell by a three-pointer at the buzzer by Ohio Dominican on Saturday, 62-59. This segment's brought to you by Cardinal Buses. Go in comfort, go in style, and go green. Go with Cardinal Buses. We bring in head coach Ric Wesley. Coach, thanks for joining us this week. How we doing?
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
Trying to get back on track here after a couple tough GLIAC games to start off the conference season, and got to get it cranked up again because we're headed out on the road for two more good ones this week. So it's tough way to finish the weekend on Saturday, but again, we're just kind of trying to get better and move forward.
Over the last few years on this show, you've always talked about how tough the GLIAC schedule is, how rigorous and just kind of brutal throughout the year. And I mean, the start of the season proved that is absolutely accurate, and we're in for another long, tough, fun year. I mean, those were two fun games to watch. I know you probably didn't like to sit there and watch them, but for the fans, it was fun to watch. It was good games.
Yeah, and you look at the conference standings already, and there's a couple teams, I guess, that won both games, but there's a lot of splits in there, a lot of just really close, hard-fought games, and I think that's the way it's going to be. The difference between being in that upper division and in the conference tournament and not is just going to be how you come through those those maybe 10 to 12 games that are decided by 5 points or less. And so you've got to find a way to win them when it matters.
Well, Coach, it's just interesting when you look at the games that on this past Thursday and Saturday is Findlay, a team that you've traditionally not have as much success with. you beat them, but then Ohio Dominican, who 6-0 against, and you fall to them at the very last possible minute. But it's just interesting coming into that weekend. You probably wouldn't have predicted it would have been if you had to split them.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what you would have said.
Yeah.
I think if you had talked to my coaches who do the scouting reports and stuff, as we talked early in the week, we didn't really talk that much about Ohio Dominican early in the week, but as we had the discussion, Coach Johnson kept saying, he said, man, I think Ohio Dominican is really good. He said, I think, that's going to be a tough matchup. And so, we won basically at the buzzer against Findlay on the night that Ohio Dominican lost at the buzzer at Ferris.
Mm-hmm.
So if any doubt was taken away right there, because to go to Ferris and win is very difficult. And then so they came in here, and the game was pretty much the way we thought. And then Findlay went to Ferris and won a close game. So, 4 teams there and toss them in a hat, and who knows how that would come out. I mean, really, really balanced. So this is by far, we had said Ohio Dominican was the best team that they have had since they've been in the conference, and just an outstanding point guard, good scorer. The freshman kid they've got, the front line kid, man, oh man, is he going to be a good player?
Yep.
So maybe it's a good thing they're leaving the conference. We don't have to face him anymore. And Dan Evans, their coach, he's done a fine job there. He's a fine young coach who's really worked hard to turn the culture around there, and you could kind of feel it when they came in the building.
Here in the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider with head coach Ric Wesley, and coach in the final few minutes against Findlay on Thursday night. You're trailing 58-52 with about 5 minutes left to go. Findlay doesn't score again in the ballgame. You hold them scoreless for nearly 6 minutes, and you score the final 9 points. You tie it up. I think Miles Miller hit a jumper to tie it, if I remember correctly, and then Luke Reiskamp hit the big three-pointer to win it with 2.2 seconds left. They were able to get a shot off, but although it was close, it didn't go down. And so you closed the game on a 9-0 run. What do you think was the difference those last few minutes?
Boy, if I knew that, we would have won on Saturday. I thought we just kind of dug in, and we just were scrapping and clawing. Our concentration was good. We just competed hard, and we were in the right places at the right times. We manufactured some offense. We hit some big shots late. It could have gone either way. But, our defense has been pretty solid, certainly by the numbers. You look at the shooting percentages and total points and things like that, and it's been pretty good. And I thought in that game down the stretch, they didn't really have an answer. They didn't have a real strong low post game, so they didn't put a lot of pressure on you around the basket. It was really more around the perimeter, and our guys seemed to be able to handle that pretty well.
Coach, if you could, walk us through the end of this game. Again, the final 61-58, but if you could, walk us through the last 10 seconds or so of that game, what plays were put in position, and about Luke's shot. Of course, we're talking about Luke Reiskamp winning it at the end with his three-point shot. But if you could, what went into the last part of that game?
Yeah, well, I'm not that smart, so I got to really think this through.
I was there, too. I could help you.
That's a whole game ago now.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it transpired. But, it kind of came down to the end, and they had the ball, and, they were taking it out of bounds. It got knocked, or they had it, got knocked out of bounds, so it was a timeout. It's an inbounds play for them. And, they had done a good job on their inbounds play, so we were a little concerned about, sometimes we go zone, sometimes we go man there. We decided to go man. They ran sort of a against the grain counter play, and their best player, Sullivan, got open in the dead corner and shot a long shot. We sort of were there and contested it a little bit, but and then your biggest fear is balls in the air. Can we rebound this miss?
Mm-hmm.
So the rebound comes off, and Trevin, as he often is the one, he gets up there and he finds a way to get that defensive rebound, which was huge. And then he kicks it out, and here we come on the fly, tie game, under 20 seconds, and your mind is racing 100 miles an hour. You're not sure. Well, do you want to take a timeout? Do you want to get the last shot? But man, if we can get a breakaway easy one, you'll take it. So you're trying to watch it, and is there an advantage, disadvantage? It's going 1,000 miles an hour, and then by the time the ball gets down in front of my bench, it didn't look like we had a clear-cut advantage. And now I can't call the timeout.
Correct.
So the players have to call a timeout. So then you jump up and you try to communicate with your guys to get a timeout. And Luke kind of fumbles the ball a little bit, and then we get a timeout. Oh, okay. All right, now.
The easy part's over.
We got the ball. All right, we got the ball. Now what do we do? Okay, and it's I can't remember exactly how many seconds to go. It was
I think you
15,
8 or 10, maybe?
Maybe it was even less than that. But, we have a number of sideline plays that we work on every day in practice, and that play didn't go exactly right, but pretty much how we got into Luke, who's certainly one of our options there, and Luke got it, and him and Trevin kind of improvised on a little ball screen there in the top of the key, and Luke came out and knocked it right in. And then, you're jumping up and screaming, get back, because you don't want to get it and throw sometimes you have that celebration that late, and sometimes if teams really heads up, they get it and they jump out of bounds, they throw it over the top and, can score. But then they took a timeout. So then you're trying to think, well, what's our best thing? It's about 2 seconds to go. They probably have to advance the ball with a long pass. We put Justin in, who's our tallest player, on the ball to try to disrupt that a little bit. And he did a pretty nice job on that, and they threw it to half court, and Zach West actually stole it, but he's tiptoeing on the sideline, and he kind of tosses it up in the air as he's stepping out of bounds. If you toss it up in the air toward the backcourt, the game would have been over, but he caught it in such a way and fumbled it out of bounds, and so they got it back. So now it's like 1.4, 1.4. So now it's at half court, and we actually had fouls to give. And so you're trying to think, well, how do you want to play this? And, we put Justin on the ball again. We told our players, be aggressive and, don't let them break free for a catch. In fact, if they break free, go ahead and kind of challenge their catch. And if you smash into them and it's a foul, so be it.
Right.
And they ran a play, and they kind of lofted it up, and the guy actually got behind one of our players. We didn't do a great job there. And he caught it, and he actually got the shot off. But as it was in the air, I thought, well, that's it. And as a coach, that's what you feel like.
Yeah.
Like that should never happen. That ball never should have got off. So I'm like, well, that's in, and it wasn't. And I'm like, oh, okay, we win.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So a big shot by Luke, and pretty good execution by our team in many facets of the game, and certainly good defense down the stretch. And that late game situation like that. I mean, you can practice all you want, but until you're in those situations. There's nothing like the experience you gain from actually doing it.
Well, we'll touch on a little bit more of this game to wrap up that again, talking about Grand Valley's 61-58 victory over Findlay this past Thursday night. Then we'll talk about Saturday, and we just saw him walk in. You can't miss him. Drake Barr going to be joining us, the junior center. Not this next segment, the segment afterward. He'll get to enjoy one of the new Jets pizzas, the chicken Alfredo pizza. So check that out. Jim Pedersen, the owner, and the fine folks here at Jets Pizza. That's where we're at. If you are around, come on by the Ric Wesley special. $6 for a large pizza. Great stuff. Be back with more here at Jets Pizza in Allendale on the Grand Valley Sports Network.
We were born here. We grew up here. Raised our kids here. Went to school here. We live here. We are the home team.
Grand Valley improves to 5-4. A couple of games this past weekend. Welcome everyone again into the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider, presented by Rivertown Honda. Also brought to you in part by Cardinal Buses. Go in comfort, go in style, and go green. Go with Cardinal Buses. And DJ, you have a question for Coach here.
I do have a question. It's called the Budweiser Hot Seat Questions, presented by Mervine Beverage. Enjoy responsibly. Coach, last Thursday, you won a game that wasn't technically a buzzer beater, but Luke hit it pretty close, about 2 seconds left. And then, unfortunately, on Saturdays, we're going to talk about you lost by a buzzer beater. In all your years of coaching, do you have a good buzzer beater story either way, good or bad?
Oh, jeez. Well,
go way back in the memory bank if you need.
Any buzzer beat's a good story. I don't know if there's a story, but,
Well, I meant positive or negative towards you.
Well, Breland, hitting that shot a couple years ago at Ferris was certainly an exciting one.
That was a really good
I remember
one.
one time when I was at Iowa State, we played at Minnesota, and the game came down to the end, and they had the ball, and my recollection was it was tie game, their ball on the baseline to go full court, and they threw the ball, and they had one of the, the scoreboard that hangs down from the middle of the arena, and the ball hit the scoreboard. He threw it so high, and then it bounced all the way back to the guy who had just thrown it. It was a really weird thing, and my recollection was he's out of bounds, violation, and so then we got the ball, and so now it's like 2 seconds or 3 seconds to go, tie game. We took it out of bounds underneath the basket, and we had a lob play for one of our guards, Justice Thigpen, one of our outstanding players. He was from Flint Northern High School, and we lobbed it in there, and he made the basket and got fouled, and it wasn't right at the buzzer, but point something left, and so we were up 3 and won the game. But that was a strange thing, hit that scoreboard. And then the other part of that story I always remember is then the next year they came back to our place, and I remember the very first out of bounds, we ran the same play. And I remember thinking, oh, my God, how could you not have spent the entire offseason talking about this?
Right.
I always felt I wanted to go yell at their guys for not being more tuned in, and we beat them by a bunch that game, so they obviously weren't
they weren't too worried about the one play. Right.
But that was an exciting one. We've had over the years. I mean, those are always Justice, same player. Justice Thigpen one year at Colorado, he came down the end. We were I think we were down 1 or 2. I can't remember. I think we were down 2. And he came, and it was kind of a full court, threw it into him. He took a dribble over half court, and he was literally kind of running with the ball, and he shot it. And as he shot it, by the time it went up near, and he made it, and the ball went through the net, and he actually was under the basket and caught, as it went in.
Yeah.
And it was before he had replay and stuff, and it happened so fast, was that a 3? Because, his momentum was taking him from way out there, all in one motion, and it was, and they got it right. But, you didn't have the monitors, and I didn't really even know if it was or not. But, you get those crazy things happening.
That's some weird stuff.
That,
The Breland one, that was a great one. Though.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yep. Every time you beat Ferris, that's a good one. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well,
there you go, Jeremy. Good question there. Budweiser hot seat question.
Yeah. Well,
pat myself on the back.
Yes, you will. Yeah, all right, nice
getting
job.
a lot of credit for your question.
Well, Coach, let's get into this game this past Saturday here, too. And, of course, just so everyone knows, the upcoming games this week, we're going to be on the road, a couple of road games here at Hillsdale, 8 o'clock, at Walsh at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Again, this Thursday on the road at 8, and then Saturday at Walsh at 3 o'clock. But, Coach, Ohio Dominican, one of these teams that just conversely – how close of a game it was on Thursday night. It was the same type of thing, but almost the opposite about how you guys, it was a struggle to put some points on the board to the end of the game, too. I mean, just wild.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. Like I said, we've talked before, but, you look at the stat sheets and stuff. In both games, we shot 59 times. That's amazing to me. How close we are in total shots from game to game. And you don't think about that. It's not by design, and it's like, wow, it's the exact number of shots. But, this game, I didn't think we played nearly as well. During the heat of the game, a little frustrated in the first half, had some things go wrong, and then we battled back and showed a game effort and got ourselves in a position to have a chance to win. So, while it's going on, you're kind of looking at it in a different way. But then after the fact, as I went back and looked at the film, we really didn't play very well. We had some foul trouble in the first half. That hurt our lineups, and we had some different lineups, and I think our cohesiveness wasn't not as good. Zach West got dinged up a little bit, and he had to come out of the game. So our whole substitution pattern was a little bit different. And, I just didn't think we played as well. We just weren't as sharp in all facets of the game. And, we gave them some easy baskets, got down. Didn't get into the bonus in the first half, which is generally an indication you're not being aggressive enough. So that was disappointing. But, again, we battled back and made some good plays in the second half, cut the lead right away. I think the first play of the second half we had a three-point play to kind of get back in there and close up the gap and had a chance. So disappointing that we couldn't get that done. To go 2-0 against those two teams, start off the conference season, would have been a big feather in our cap. But, it didn't work out that way. And so now we got to suck it up and move forward and see if we can't go steal one on the road.
Coach, we'll talk more about this one later on in the show and some of the efforts of Juwan Starks and Lance Dawson, who really played well off the bench, both those guys. But Drake Barr led the way in that one. He had 17 points, 10 rebounds, his first double-double here at Grand Valley. He's going to join us in the next segment. Just kind of briefly give us a quick statement how Drake's been playing so far this year. He's been off to a really good start.
Yeah, well, he really has. I mean, he's probably been, our real bright spot here in the first, third quarter of the season. And it's funny because now he's played so well here in the last few weeks. I'm starting to get mad at him because I just keep racing the bar. I was mad at him today. He made a shot.
No pun intended on raising the bar.
Well,
I'll be here all week.
He made a shot today, and I was mad at him. But I'm thinking, well, I think that's fair. It's, my expectation has really gone up for what he's capable of doing. He's doing things that we've always thought he was capable of, and I think now he believes the same. He's really worked hard on his game. He's perfected. He's really perfected that jump hook around the basket, which is really a lethal shot that I think he's had for a while, but now he really believes in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's a veteran guy. He's a bright guy. He executes well. I thought Saturday, defensively, he really had a solid game. He had a tough coverage with their big freshman.
Yep. And
yet he really handled that well and still found ways to help other guys out in a lot of different places on the floor. So, he's worked really hard. I mean, he's always been an outstanding athlete, but this summer in particular, I think he really worked hard. Has come back in great shape. So, he's doing a yeoman's job for us, and we need more. Yeah. So hopefully he can continue to elevate his game and kind of set the standard for our big guys.
It's junior center Drake Barr. We're going to bring him in after this break. Come on back for more of the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider with Ric Wesley. It's all presented by Rivertown Honda, and it's all here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.
We were born here. We grew up here. Raised our kids here. Went to school here. We live here. We are the home team.
And welcome back inside the Basketball Weekly Insider with head coach Ric Wesley. It's DJ Foster, Jeremy Bolker, and we are now joined by junior center Drake Barr here on the player interview brought to you by Earhart Construction, the official construction company of the Grand Valley Sports Network. Drake, how are we doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Thanks for joining us. You made some history a couple weeks ago against Salem International. I don't know how much you knew about it at the time, but you were 10 for 10 from the field. Only 4 people, as we know of, have done that in Grand Valley State history. Some guy named Callista Suzuku, who is in the Hall of Fame, and then a couple guys back in 1985. So it doesn't happen very often. As that's going on during the game, are you counting in your head, is it That's 2 made shots. That's 3 made shots. I haven't missed yet. I mean, do you have any idea? Did your teammates say anything? I mean, walk me through that game and kind of what's going on.
I had really no idea until after the game. I think someone told me, I think it was Lance, that said I was 10 for 10. And I was like, oh, well, cool. I didn't really know. And I just knew I was doing well and kept shooting the ball, and they were giving me a lot of good looks down low, and teammates were feeding me. So
So it wasn't anything special that you ate or a certain song that you listened to before the game. You just went in there and did your thing.
no, I guess the stars are just right.
And you're not like an outside shooter, so it's not like you made every 3-point shot in warm-ups and everything. But did you feel good during warm-ups? I mean, did it feel like or just feel like a normal game?
No, it felt just like a normal game. I guess things just worked out well. It's good. Teammates were giving me good looks down low. So.
Now, Luke Reiskamp also scored his 1,000th point in that game, and Luke was on the show. I think it was last week, Jeremy.
Yeah, we are setting a very good precedent
Yes,
here.
yes. The next week's opponent or a guest will do something good this week. What's more difficult, scoring 1,000 points or going 10 for 10 from the field? I argue that it's the 10 for 10. Now I don't know what Luke would say.
I'd say 1,000's a lot more than 10 for 10. So
Well, that's
got to give it to Luke there.
We have so many guys that have done the 1,000-point club. You're only the 4th who's gone 10 for 10. So if you need that in an argument with Luke,
I'll use it.
that's the exact point you need to make. There you go.
If you could, Drake, you guys are playing some good basketball here, but I'll tell you what excitement on both those nights from Thursday and on Saturday, just how close these games were.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker Saturday, and it's kind of the exact opposite of what happened Thursday. So a lot of emotion, and just got to let it ride and try and bounce back this week. We got 2 more, so you got to have a short-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see with Luke's play when he won the game against Finley? Kind of take me through those last few seconds and what happened when the ball went through the net.
Yeah, that was exciting. I was on the bench right next to Justin, and we both just went crazy. He had that nice step back and just drained it. I think it was his only second shot he made all game, but it's the one that mattered.
How has your role changed this year? You've certainly, Coach said you got in better shape. You've always been a good worker, but you just seem more confident out there. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I'd say I've built some confidence up compared to past years. I've been able to contribute more than I did in past years, and just trying to do what we can to win.
Well, dovetailing on that, Coach was saying that you really worked hard, especially this past summer. What were you doing? Anything unusual that you've done out of the ordinary? Or?
I was just on a good strength program and just tried working on my game as best as I could whenever I could get in the gym, and I guess it's paying off for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's also it's a thing too about how coaches had some nice complimentary things to say about you too. Is not only real solid last few games, but solid really solid defensively too. If you were to say you take pride in one thing or the other, the defense or offense, is there one area there that you probably take more pride in part of your game?
I would say defense is definitely something I take a lot more pride in. Trying to shut down other big guys in the post. It's kind of if you stop them on defense, it doesn't really matter if you're scoring as long as you're doing your job and getting stops for the team.
Here with junior center Drake Barr in the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider. And Coach mentioned against Ohio Dominican Youth went up against Hassan Varens, their fine freshman who it looks like he's going to be a really good player. He was shooting over 70% from the field entering this game. He looks like a really good player. I don't know around the league how many other freshmen are there, but I mean he could be in the running for GLIAC Freshman of the Year. And you put up a double-double against him and had a good battle. Do you like when you get to play a quality opponent like that? See someone else across the floor. Does it raise your level of play, do you think?
Yeah, Coach has told us going in that we need to shut him down, and he's a really good athlete coming in and had a lot of confidence from his past couple games. So that definitely helps you hype up more for the game.
Drake, if you could, give us a little bit of your background, how you got here in Allendale.
I'm a local guy from Comstock Park, so I think that was a big part of the decision to come here. I really liked the coaching staff when they were recruiting me, and fell in love with the campus and the team, and liked the program.
All right. Now, let's see. DJ, do you have it? How tall officially in the media guide does it have?
Well, we
yet?
can
And
say
I
what
want
we
to know if that's accurate.
What we listed him as. Let's see here.
Yeah, let's see. What
Drake,
do we
we've
have
got you at
officially?
6'8".
Nah, that's about right, I think.
215.
Is it? Okay.
Is that about right?
Is that without shoes or with shoes?
With shoes. I think
Okay.
I'm about 6'7.5" without.
Okay.
So
Oh,
they
sure
rounded
fooled
up.
us, man. I was going to say like 6'11" or something, man. But well, tell us maybe a little bit about your family here, too. I know your dad, Dad's a big Western Michigan person. Tell us about that connection. And then obviously you had some excitement here this past Friday with Western Michigan.
Oh, yeah, he's been pretty
winning that
excited
game.
all season. I actually went home Friday and watched the game with him, and that was a lot of fun to kind of share that moment with him and cheer on the Broncos.
Sure.
He took me to a lot of games growing up, so I kind of like to cheer him on too, just as a kind of casual fan.
Right. Well, yeah, and then they play the Wisconsin in the Cotton Bowl. It looks like too, but
You're probably not going to go to that one, I would assume.
Nah, I don't think I'll be able to make it.
Okay. All right.
yeah, that one may be a little bit tough to ask Coach on. The coach on that one. But have you felt anything different from the last few games to your opening few games? I mean, I look at your individual performance, but as well team performance too. You guys are playing together more and more. Have you noticed anything different from the first few games of the season? Is better chemistry or?
Yeah, so we're learning to play together a lot more. We lost a lot of guys from last year, so it's we got a lot of new guys in as well. So kind of building our chemistry, and we really kind of try to step up our defense, and we're still working on defense. Definitely, it's what we take pride in.
And how, with our first two guests here, we're Trevin and Luke, and you're one of the veteran guys now, been around for a few years, Miles Miller. How have you guys tried to really implement the new guys and the freshmen or transfers, whatever it is? Because it's you guys kind of have a different team with a bunch of returners, but also a lot of new guys as well.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's kind of on the older guys. Trev and Luke are great senior leaders for us, and they do a great job of trying to help the freshmen and all the transfers to kind of get adequated to the system and to the program and to the school and everything.
All right, joined here by Drake Barr, the junior center, and we're going to ask you a few different questions here. Full court press. It's going to go right from what you just made the comment on. In a three-point contest, you're trying 5 shots from every position, the 5 different positions around the arc. Who's going to win between Luke and Trevin in a three-point contest?
Oh, man. Sorry, Trev. I got to take Luke on that one.
Yeah, I know they each answered. Luke responded himself. Trevin responded himself.
Surprisingly.
So this might have to be one of those things throughout the season, just to see who gets the votes and report back to
That'd be
them.
a fun one to watch.
If you could travel anywhere, where would you like to go?
Oh, man. I think I would like to go to Europe.
Where about in Europe?
Probably just all over. I had a friend that spent a semester over there, one of my best friends, and he really loved it, so I'd like to experience it for myself.
Take one of those Euro Rail passes and hit a few different countries,
Sure,
that type
that'd
of
be
thing too. Hey, what's your dream job? I know that might be something if you like Europe. Hey, you ever think about playing overseas, or what's dream job?
I think it'd be pretty cool to be an NBA player, play basketball and get paid a lot of money. That'd be the dream right there.
Well, if you could, who is one of your favorite players in the NBA?
Today, I'd say I'm a big Steph Curry fan.
Okay.
Just the season he had last year in the regular season, that was a lot of fun to watch.
Now, when he said today, did you have one in the past here?
Not really.
Okay.
Just kind of a casual NBA fan.
Sure. I know Coach tells us that you're really a good student. So with that in mind, I'd like your favorite class or one you really like taking, and one that you go, man, I wish I could do without this credit.
Right now I'm in a finance 320 class that I like a lot. That's kind of my major. I just switched to that. And then one that I don't like is I'm in a philosophy. It's a logic class. It's pretty confusing. It's a tough one.
Wow. Yeah,
I don't even like the title of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of arguments and stuff like that.
Sure.
Not fun.
Yeah, not as much like this show. I know we argue
not a lot
too
of
much
arguing here.
A little bit off microphone, but other than that, not too bad. Okay. And then the last question here too: is there a song that is way overplayed on the radio right now, or that somebody's been playing on the team that you're sick of?
Oh man, Lance is our music guy in the weight room, and he plays this one Meek Mill song every day. It's an exciting song, but I think we can skip a couple days here and there. It doesn't have to be every time.
Jeremy's a big Meek Mill fan. He knows
Got it.
all about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's your guy.
I'm gonna quick YouTube that right there. and see what it is. But okay, so just give a little Meek Mill a little timeout. Meek Mill needs a little timeout.
That's
okay.
fair. Okay, good.
All right. Well, sounds good. Well, listen, continued success, Drake. Thank you so much for coming out, and have a great rest of the season here. Good semester, good holidays and everything, and look forward to seeing you progress here on the basketball court. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Drake.
All right. Great stuff. That was Drake Barr again here on the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider. When we return, we'll talk more about these last couple games and get into the upcoming games again at Hillsdale, at Walsh, all coming up, and then a couple of home games after that. It's all ahead here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.
We were born here. We grew up here. Raised our kids here. Went to school here. We live here. We are the home team.
And this segment brought to you by Two Men and a Truck, movers who care. This is the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider with head coach Ric Wesley. We just heard from Drake Barr. Great stuff from him, finance major. That's really pretty cool stuff. Coach, he can maybe take care of our books one day,
Yeah,
something like that, you know.
Wish I had some money to give him.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? But maybe he can, you know, make $1 out of 15 cents or something like that. But again, our program presented by Rivertown Honda. We're here at Jets Pizza. We're here till about 7 o'clock. The Ric Wesley special goes till 8. That's a large one-topping pizza. And if you can't make it out here tonight, I suppose we'll forgive you. Come on out next Monday night because it'll be a busy week next week, too, with a couple of, a home game then on the following week, Saturday, and that. But, coaches, we're getting back into things, 5-4 overall. A couple of close games we've been talking about, and we'll start talking about Hillsdale and Walsh in the next segment. But, you gave us an overall picture of the team, but you've been having some impressive play coming from some of the players coming off of the bench, too.
Well, we play a lot of guys, so like I say, we always talk about this. We expect guys to come off the bench and do a good job. It's not unusual. We have guys on the bench who have started in the past, and we go 9, 10, 11 deep, so we hope that guys can come in and make a solid contribution. And again, we talked about that a little bit today. I didn't think we were quite as effective coming off the bench in our game Saturday, and I think what happens is, especially with new players, they tend to try to come in and do too much. They keep thinking if I do something special, right off the bat, then I'm going to stay in longer. And it doesn't really work that way. A lot of times when you're coming off the bench, it's all about just coming in and fitting in. Just fit in before you try to stand out, execute well, help the team just function smoothly, and then usually when the good things will find you. Open shots will find you. But if you go in there and you try to hit a home run or you swing for the fences, it's kind of almost, even when you do something good, it can almost be a disruptive feeling to the team. And so, guys coming off the bench, they just got to trust the system. They got to trust that, they move the ball and they fit in, that good things are going to happen. They'll be rewarded for it in the long run. So we're still a work in progress. We've had a couple of injuries have set us back at times. Certainly foul trouble has bothered us. When Drake and Trevin get in foul trouble, that can really throw our rotations off. And we've just got to be a little bit more disciplined and get in a little bit better defensive position so we don't catch those early fouls.
Two guys who had good performances against Ohio Dominican off the bench. Jawan Starks was 6 for 11 from the field, 14 points. He really poured some in there late to keep you in the ball game. And then Lance Dawson had his best game, 4 for 4 from the field. He made all 3 of his threes, even a heat check three-pointer as well. 11 points, 6 rebounds in just 18 minutes. We talked about Jawan a little bit as well, but talk about Lance too.
Well, Lance is a confident young guy. I mean, he doesn't lack for confidence. He really believes he can do it, and performance on Saturday would indicate he certainly can do it, particularly on the offensive end. He's one of our better shooters. He's got a good, strong body, so we're always encouraging him to try to develop his game to the fullest because the more he plays, the less he'll get those open shots. But when he does, he knocks them down. But he also showed, he had one real good rip drive over there on the left side where he took it to the basket. And I don't know if he got fouled on it or there was some contact at the basket, but he does that so easily. I want him to embrace that as much as he does the three-point shot. And then, like most young guys, he's just got to really concentrate on improving defensively. There's situations that come up, that and until you've been through it, you just don't process it as quickly as other guys, ball screens and handoffs and where do you help, where do you not help. And, some of it is technique. He's got to keep working on his defensive movement and stance. But a lot of it is just the experience that comes with being in the program for a longer period of time.
And while he's in for about 11 minutes against Ohio Dominican, with just a few more minutes, I think he played his 16 minutes on Thursday night. But Justin Greason put together a really pretty nice game.
Yeah,
too.
Justin was starting for us early in the year, and Drake was coming in, and then we made that change, and he had a good game on Saturday. He came in and gave us some really good, solid minutes, and wasn't quite as effective on Saturday. So he's a key guy for us because he's got a lot of abilities. He's got some real length and size to him that he can be a disruptive force in there. He can get some rebounds that other guys can't get just because of his length. He's sort of a natural scorer, but again, I feel like he at times gets a little bit too wound up when he gets in there, and he's trying to go too fast. He's trying to get too much too soon. He's not doing the work before the ball gets to him, and he ends up getting himself in a little bit of trouble. So, he came back, practiced pretty good today. So much about effectiveness is about habits. When you start doing it every day the correct way in practice, then it becomes second nature in the game. And he's just got to keep developing his practice habits and his technique, and then eventually it kicks in and carries over into the game.
This is the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider with head coach Ric Wesley. We're going to talk Hillsdale and Walsh when we come back in the next segment. Lakers take on the Chargers this Thursday night, 8 p.m. start in Hillsdale, and then we're off to Ohio, a split state trip, our only one of the year this year, to take on the Walsh Cavaliers at 3 p.m. on Saturday. We'll talk about those teams when we come back, all here on the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider with head coach Ric Wesley. It's presented by Rivertown Honda, and it's here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.
We were born here. We grew up here. Raised our kids here. Went to school here. We live here. We are the home team.
And welcome back in the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider. DJ Foster, Jeremy Bolker, and head coach Ric Wesley here. We're about to talk Hillsdale and Walsh, the Lakers' upcoming opponents this week. This segment brought to you by Fox Motors. Only the best. And, Coach, a little bit different trip. I said before the break, you stay in Michigan on Thursday night for a road game at Hillsdale. Then we're off to Canton, Ohio to take on Walsh on Saturday. And these are two teams. Going to be two different opponents, I feel like, but they're kind of going in different directions here early on. Hillsdale's 4-4, but they've lost 3 in a row, and Walsh nearly moved to 7-0 with a close loss at Michigan Tech. If they would have won that one, they won their first 6 games. Two different teams to prepare for, but should be an interesting trip.
Well, every game in the conference is going to be a tough one, and we know from experience we go to Hillsdale, it's going to be last year we went there, they had a great crowd. They had a tremendous atmosphere. When we're right down to the wire, it's always a tussle when we play them. My hope is that, I think they're a little bit similar to Ohio Dominican in how their style of offense is. They really move the ball well. A lot of player movement, a lot of ball movement. Their strength is really in their backcourt. Lowry's one of the best shooters in our conference. Brodowski is an excellent guard. Their point guard is solid. So they're going to challenge our defensive communication and ability to handle a lot of different actions. They kind of have always been that way. And then they're solid on defense. They kind of have been difficult for us to score. They're very physical. So again, I think it's gonna be a tough game. And then Walsh, obviously has an outstanding team. I mean, they've shown that with how they've played, and the times we've been there, it's been seems like the Fletcher kid has been there for don't know how long
Ever.
he's been there.
Forever.
I mean, that guy's got to be going pretty soon. But the Carter kid is having a great year. They're a very talented offensive team. So, it's a little bit of a trip for us. So that, that will be a challenge. So, again, I mean, just every game, I look at that schedule, and I just don't see anybody on there that I don't think we're going to have to play really, really well in order to have a chance to win.
Yeah, and their last, we're talking about Walsh here, and their most recent trip up north, so anytime you go on the road, it's never easy. They scored 97 in a win at Northern Michigan and lost at Michigan Tech despite scoring 89 points. So, I mean, they certainly have a great offense. Your defense has been playing well, so that should be an interesting mix.
Yeah,
there.
I see those scores, and it just blows my mind because, again, it might happen to us, but when we play those games, it just never seems like it's that high scoring of affair. And, fortunately, we don't give up that many points, but I don't know how that happens in some of those games when I watch them. They get to be so free-flowing and going up and down and so on and so forth. But, again, we're going to have to play better. We're going to have to play better. We're going to have to execute better. Late game, early game, we got to do our stuff better. And I think we've got to get better ball movement. I look at our offense. I love the things we're doing. But at times when I watch it on film, I'm like, well, what's wrong with it? And it's in and of itself, it's fine. It's just the manner with which we're doing it. Guys are not making quick enough decisions, not getting on to the next action. We're not being hard to guard. We're being a little bit too predictable. The ball's stopping in one spot. The defense is getting set. So now when we attack, we're trying to take on 2 or 3 guys versus the ball moving side to side, and the gaps are opening up big, and we're getting them in a disadvantaged position defensively, which is where you score or you draw fouls.
And we are talking about the upcoming Lakers schedule this Thursday night at 8 o'clock against Hillsdale, and then this Saturday against Walsh. And as we're talking about Walsh averaging almost about 92 points a game, Coach, if you get caught up in one of those high-flying games where the score starts to get into the 80s and the 90s and that too, where do you think you guys need to work on the most just to make sure you come on the winning outcome of something like that? Because that could be a wild
Say if it's a wild scoring, I say quit letting them score so much.
Right.
I don't know. If it's one of those kind of games, well, then quit letting them score.
Right.
Or we got to score more, one or the other. Like I say, we don't get in that many games like that in our conference, and I do think we're a much better shooting team this year than we have been in the past. We've had a couple of those games that have gone up and down. At times, I feel like if the game goes that way, if it gets to be wide open, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing for us. Mm-hmm. Our big guys are, they like Drake is an excellent athlete. Justin's a good runner, but those guys can get up and down and keep a pretty good pace going. And then, it seems like whoever we put on the floor, the majority of the guys, we talked about Lance, but Juwan and Luke and guys like that, Danzel, they're all good shooters. So, we've had some games where we've let it fly, and it's been pretty good. Just at the same time, you got to make sure you're not letting them score at will either.
Well, and there's been some times, like you said, if Drake or Justin gets into foul trouble, or if you just like the matchup you have, where you go Trevin at the 5, and you put, Chris Dorsey, Zach West, Jawan Starks, a bunch of 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys out. It's not necessarily small ball, but it's probably your more athletic and mobile lineup, and it's intriguing when it's out there because you can do a lot of different things.
Yeah, sometimes, again, we try to, even today, try to put a couple more things in now. We've had some guys banged up. Zach's a little banged up and stuff, and so as you look toward this trip, there's maybe a greater chance that we will have to play smaller at times, or maybe there might be a chance we play Justin and Drake together. We did the other day for a little bit. So, you get, most of the time you sub and everything kind of stays the same, but there's certain times you get to, now it's a completely different look. You go from having 2 big guys to only 1 big guy. Mm-hmm. Or in our case, with Justin and Drake, then you go from two really big guys. What can you do with those particular groups of individuals on the floor? And so, we're always trying to come up with ways to be the most flexible we can, so that, we're not limited by who we play. What we do doesn't limit our ability to play who we want to play. And, so we keep tinkering with that in the season as it goes on. We kind of just keep adding more and more layers to what we can do.
All right, we'll take one more quick break and be back with Ric Wesley's final thoughts on the upcoming road trip. We will return here at Jets Pizza in Allendale. This is the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider with Ric Wesley, all presented by Rivertown Honda here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.
We were born here. We grew up here. Raised our kids here. Went to school here. We live here. We are the home team.
Welcome back here at the final time of the GVSU Basketball Weekly Insider with head coach Ric Wesley. Before we wrap things up, we'd like to thank one of our fine sponsors, Country Dairy, the official milk of GVSU Athletics. Coach, we talk about the trip to Hillsdale and Walsh this weekend. I mentioned a split state trip, kind of different for you guys. The Chargers on Thursday night, 8 p.m., and the Walsh Cavaliers on Saturday at 3 p.m. Take us through the rest of the week and kind of the trip down to Michigan and through into Ohio.
Yeah, this is sort of a tough time, I think, for our guys. You know, we're kind of winding down first semester. Right, all of a sudden we're in the conference season. Next week is exam week, so I know they all got a lot on their plates with that, last paper or last project that's due right before we get to the final exam. We'll leave on Thursday to go down to Hillsdale, play that night, and then we'll stay after Hillsdale game. We'll start working our way toward Ohio and get into Canton late that night and be there Friday and Saturday, and then turn around, come home, and then guys got a big week next week with final exams. So it's a tough time to be playing, but these are huge games and they have major implications for our conference. So we need to be at our best.
Any Hall of Fame trips or anything like that?
We went to the Football
special?
Hall of Fame last year, so we'll probably hold that off for another year. But I think the guys got enough studying to do to keep themselves occupied during their free time.
But what a great state to be in. I'm excited to go home.
Oh, boy. Well, hey, regardless of what they say, Coach, you're a Hall of Famer in our book.
Well, I appreciate that.
But great stuff. A really big thank you to Drake Barr out here eating some pizza for all the great staff here at Jets Pizza. All you great fans out here, Berwin, great to see you out here again, and Tom and Marty, of course, everyone. Well, that'll wrap things up for DJ Foster, head coach Ric Wesley. I'm Jeremy Bolker. Have a great night, everybody. See you next Monday at Jets. Go Lakers.